Cool. All right, and then back to presentations. I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna have to iron out the tech as always.
As always.
I think we have it pretty set up.
Okay.
And Bekki is our speaker, and I should have had your bio up, but all around great person, helping with Rocky Mountain Ruby.
She's a co-organizer.
So that's huge. You sort of got roped in, like I kind of get roped into things last year, so now you're full-fledged.
Yes, volunteered.
No.
I did some things, got promoted. Do you want to unshare first?
Yes. If I can get.
This is super tiny. This is gonna happen to me too, isn't it?
Yeah. And I want to double check, was I missing a chat? Weston was just saying stuff. Okay, cool. All right, so. Can you share? We are already recording, which I hope you consent to. Is that all right? I can't turn it off, so.
Okay. Speaking of AI, I hate making slide decks, so I did have AI make this whole presentation, so please hire me for your company that's focused on AI or something. So my talk today is about no code, and I feel like I might need to get to know the audience a little bit more to make sure it's relevant. So how many people work at like very large companies where your team has a narrow focus on a thing?
Largest privately held company.
Okay. How about like medium size, like 15 to 50-ish?
I would have called me small, but.
Okay. How about like large? Well, between 50 and huge.
Oh, I was like 250. I thought it was like medium-ish, but yeah.
I guess I should define that better. I think of anything over 50 as like pretty big because you can't know everybody and you have to start dividing out responsibilities, but not huge. Huge is probably in the 500 up or so. And then how many are at like tiny companies, like less than 10? I'll raise my hand too. Okay, so basically no code. Some of you may have never come across much with no code, but it's super important in the very small companies where everybody wears multiple hats. So I'm part of a community called MicroConf. Has anyone heard of it? Yeah. Oh, so MicroConf is a community for founders who are specifically trying to be bootstrap founders and stay small companies, and I guess you'd call it a lifestyle business. And what's interesting about the go ahead.
When you say lifestyle business, I think of yoga clothing.
Lifestyle clothing.
Okay.
So lifestyle business means I want to support my family, I want to have financial freedom, I want to maybe have a couple employees, but maybe I want to go live in Thailand for a year.
Do you wear lifestyle clothing?
Me personally, I try not to, but the pandemic did things. I used to try to dress nice and
I'm with hard pants.
I know, every once in a while I wear hard pants and I have to say it out loud, like, hey everyone, I'm wearing hard pants.
Wow. It's worthy of an announcement.
Yes.
Hard working pants.
And so one of the things that's really cool about the MicroConf community is it's a lot of Rails developers. And I feel like that's a lot of the genesis of Rails was I want to be a business owner, I want to have a SaaS company. What's the best way to go do that fast by myself? Rails. Rails is like the answer. So when I go to these MicroConf events, there's a ton of Rails developers who are also business owners. There's also a ton of business owners who are not developers, so maybe they need one developer, or maybe they just contract out. And one of the biggest themes in the small bootstrap founder community is no code. And the reason, I guess I should define no code. Well, that's me. You all know who I am. What is no code?
Some people don't know.
All right, fine. I prefer to jump right back in, but. Okay, so I'm an engineering leader. I build teams. I love business-focused software. And I'm a pretty decent Rails developer. And as Ben knows, there are very few hills I will die on. So if you want to debate code style with me, I don't care.
Well, that's not always true.
Tell me more, Ben.
You definitely have strong opinions sometimes.
Weakly held. Now I'm blushing. I I should turn on my camera so for Weston. Sorry, Weston.
I don't know, but probably wouldn't show, maybe.
Which one? It's on the.
Oh,
There we
okay.
go, start video, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hi.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's way up there, tiny.
Yeah.
And then if you ever want to chat like impact, value, software, even camping, you can definitely always hit me up. I'm on Tech Friends and LinkedIn. So that is who I am. All right, so now back to the topic. So what is no code? No code, they're basically platforms that abstract a software problem that allows faster application development. So you could be a non-technical person and connect to software systems with no code. You could be a non-technical person and write a website without coding. And no code is like an umbrella term for any software system that abstracts away the coding so you can solve a business problem without writing code. So we've all seen no code, whether you know it or not, but some of the more common ones you've probably heard of are Webflow and Zapier. Some of the other ones I use are Bubble and Make. Zapier and Make are connector programs where you can take a software system and if their API has a little app made for Make, you can actually connect that to another software system that has a little plugin. And you can do it with all drag and drop, no coding. That's the dream, is the no code part. The reality, I'll get into it, but that's the concept. And so when you're in a small bootstrap company or a tiny company, you're wearing multiple hats. You're doing the Google Analytics automations, you're writing Google Ads, you're doing your CRM, you're writing your landing page, and if you're the only developer, you cannot do all of those things. So the best way to be able to actually spread that load is by using no-code tools like these. And so why should you care? 90% of companies are small businesses. Startups need to get to market fast, and there is this idea of like, I can actually get my product launched if I don't have to write a full-on software system. And the biggest one for me is we should be building the hard stuff, and we should leave the static web pages and the Google Analytics connections to someone else, so we can go build the actual SaaS platform or whatever we're doing. I wrote this slide. I just felt like you all need to know that.
Hard pants.
Nice. So the benefits of no code kind of went over a little bit. Faster initial development. So if you want to get a POC out, you don't want to write an entire platform. You don't want to like get your Vercel up and running and talk to Next.js and whoever JavaScript funness is happening this week. You want to try it out, see if you have product market fit, and move on if it doesn't work. You want to be able to spread the load between all your teams. So I have an excellent designer on my team. He's not going to write a Bridgetown static website in Ruby. It's just never going to happen. He needs a drag and drop tool where he can do his design magic himself so that I don't have to be involved. So it makes sense, right? I wouldn't use Bridgetown for this particular project because I have a designer who's not a coder. So there's also the low barriers to launching the MVP. So we can do it cheaper because we don't need developers. We can go find people who are doing these no-code platforms, who are consultants, who are working for about half the price of a contract developer. So you can actually get to it without as much VC money or without as much investment. And feel free to jump in at any moment. And then after the slides, I'm basically going to do live demo of everything else. All right, so drawbacks. So I have a very cyclical relationship with no code. Some days I'm like, oh, thank goodness we did this. Other days I'm like, motherfucker, I am going to throw this all in the trash. and it just happens that this week I'm in a trough. I'll show you why, but truly, once we got our no-code system set up, my CEO would come up with this harebrained idea of like, oh, we're gonna see if this new product that I just invented today can get traction. And I'm like, cool, go over to Bubble and get some Zapier stuff set up and leave me alone. And then he can come back in a month and tell me if it worked and if it's worth actually building. You know, where I don't wanna have to like build it for him or do anything, right? But the drawbacks are difficulty to maintain over time. This is my biggest Achilles heel. Something breaks. You're like, I don't know what happened. I don't know why it broke. I don't know where it broke in this like long chain of bubbles that someone just dragged arrows around. We don't know what broke. And then if something changes, you have to like untangle all those bubbles and put them back together in a new way. You have less control. So you're trading speed for control. And I think most of us in this room, if I'm going to make a broad assumption, really like control. So that's hard to give up when you move to no code, but that is your trade-off. And then platform lock-in. If someone on my team said we can't use Bubble anymore because reasons, or if Bubble was like, we just don't want to, we're going out of business, we'd be screwed. Because we are completely locked in. There is no like export to Webflow. There's nothing like that. So you're tied in forever. And this is a $300 a month bill just for our landing page that we're gonna be paying forever, whether we like it or not, because we're at this point locked in. So those are the very diplomatic drawbacks. All right, but some great use cases. I have 6 up here, but like internal business tools is the best. No product manager wants to prioritize internal business tools. They want customer-facing features, they want customer value. So if someone in your operations team needs a tool, look for a no-code solution, because it doesn't have to be pretty, it can be clunky, it doesn't have to have a smooth UX, and you can get off your plate as fast as possible, maybe even delegate it out to the operations team to build. So it's a great spot. Admin portals, prototypes, like things you're going to throw away, you just want to find out if it works. When to avoid no code, really complex applications, frequently changing requirements, that sort of thing. I have the ATM spec up here, you probably don't want to use no code for that. That was only in 2006. Does that seem a little late to anyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Requirements.
Some of the no-code platforms will claim that you can run your entire SaaS business off of their no-code platform. And while that might be true, I would contend that it's not the best way to spend your entire business life is trying to maintain a no-code solution. But if you don't have devs and you don't want devs, maybe that's fine. Let's see, I think there's something on the chat. No, all good. All right, so what I've settled on is for a small company. And in a small company, you usually have like a CEO, someone in operations, someone in tech, a product manager, and a designer, maybe. If you're lucky, you have all those. That's what my team looks like right now. We've gone for a hybrid approach. So what I have is a really nice Rails app that does all of the important things on our application, and then I have like 20 no-code tools kind of satellite around it, and I have some APIs set up that my no-code tools can talk to, or I can talk to them to pull the right data that I need, or to move someone from my landing page over to my application. So I have different tools like that, and that's what's been very successful, because it's limited how much I have to deal with directly myself versus what I can actually push out to the rest of the team. And it's not just pushing out to the rest of the team. I can get stuff done faster with these no-code tools. It truly is faster in some ways. If I can hook up a Zapier to Google Analytics over to the Rails app, that's much easier for me than writing an API in my Rails app to talk to the Google Analytics. It's just faster.
Do you have any thoughts on security of the Zapier integration?
I think it's bad. I think it's really yeah. So we had, I can't even show you when we get to the live demo, but like with one checkbox that has no good description on it, you can actually expose your entire database to the public. With one checkbox. That doesn't say that. It doesn't say, warning, you're about to expose all of your database to the public. It just says, do you want an API to this app? Yeah, of course I do. Sounds great. It's unauthenticated, plain text. Yeah. So
This is Zapier?
that is not Zapier. That's Bubble. Bubble that does this.
Do the URLs follow any pattern?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, like you put in, like every app has the same. I will show you. Every app has the same base URL, and then it's /users.
Woo!
Very exciting.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think think it's pretty bad.
I do API security, so I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I would
Yeah.
love to hear your thoughts. You
Worried.
should, I bet you'd make a lot of money on like, security
Extortion.
bounties to like, well, I'm sure they have like a system.
To extort.
All right, so this slide, this one made me laugh. I don't know if I would go through it because AI wrote it, but basically it says by 2030, no-code platforms will fully democratize app development. By 2030, y'all. They're coming for your jobs. That's from AI. Yeah, so.
Citizen developers built over 90%. Oh, God,
So
that's
AI
hilarious.
thinks no code is coming for your jobs. All right, but so here's the thing. Engineering to me isn't about our platform, it's not about our language, it's not about our stack, it's about problem solving. It is about finding the best solution. It's about systematic approaches to a problem. And if no code is what's best for the business, we should do it. It doesn't matter if we're writing assembly or no code. If something is the right solution for the business at that moment, let's do it. And I think that's why I think no code is worth considering for all of us in this room. All right, so let's demo. I'm gonna just go through these slides so that we know what I'm gonna demo, because otherwise I have to go back and forth. Actually, maybe I don't have to. So the first thing I wanna show is how we display data from an API. That's pretty cool, it's what we do all the time, but it's kind of tedious, kind of takes a long time sometimes, and it's kind of a pain to maintain over time. All right, so here's Bubble. This is you wanted to know about API security. So if I click this checkbox right there, my entire users table.
wait, it doesn't even have like a description next? Oh, it's the one to the,
So
Wait, what is?
oh, it's to the.
Oh, yeah, it's to the
this
right.
tiny little checkbox right there, if I
Yeah.
click that,
The
I will
users
expose my
table.
entire users table to the public internet without authentication. So, Becky, how can I authenticate this, you ask? You cannot. It is not an option. There is nothing to be done here. This data API is completely public.
Are these private keys that you're displaying gonna be an issue?
These ones,
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, they're fine.
I mean, given that they're being recorded.
It's being screen recorded.
To somebody's.
this is my development environment. So yeah, you can have all like my Becky plus.
Oh, I don't want anything, I
Go
just
for
don't
it.
want you waking up tomorrow
Oh.
without everything.
I appreciate that, thank you.
I do not post these videos that fast.
Sunday at the earliest.
Yeah, in a few days.
All right, yeah. I mean, you can see if you really want to mine this, you can see all my fun screenshots, for my bug reports, like, here's a bug report I submitted today from Zapier, or that one was from Webflow. But, all right, so essentially, this data API right here is brutal. That's bad. And if you're a no-code person, you're not a developer, you probably don't even know what API security is. So this to me is that's kind of crazy. But the reason we came here today was to look at data that gets displayed from an API. So here's an example of, I have a service on my Rails app, and this is also great. This is an internal tool, so I don't give a shit what it looks like. It can be really ugly. All right, so here I have this property AVMs calculator. This is an internal tool, so we don't care what it looks like. But essentially what we need to do is we need to say what is the value of a property that we want to buy. And I have the real service running on my Rails app, but my operations manager has his login over here in Bubble in our no-code system. So here I can just put in like, I was gonna ask for volunteers, but I don't think anyone's gonna wanna volunteer.
My house doesn't exist, you wanna see what it's worth?
Yeah, let's do it, all right.
1008 Honeysuckle Lane. Oh man, this is going on the internet though, gosh, no.
What time's dinner?
Louisville, Colorado. 80027.
This recording is gonna be like very disjointed, it's like cutting all this out.
I know, like why did we cut out all the API keys?
Blurred.
It's just like silenced laughter.
I can't wait to see what your editing is gonna look like on this.
Yeah, I'm using QuickTime Player, so
Yeah,
it's not.
I trust all of you, it's fine, all right, so we'll see what comes back.
Does it go on Tech Friends or goes YouTube? Where do you
It's
actually?
on YouTube publicly available. So
All right.
this one's
This one's
causing
being
me
edited.
stress. Yeah.
So basically, I just made a request from here with my little no-code solution that the product manager put this form in place, talk to my Rails app, and my Rails app just returned all of our data sources that give like home values. And so
range.
this whole thing took 30 minutes. And if we were to go put this onto our Rails app, put it behind authentication, put pundit in, put test in, publish it, peer review it, publish it, blah, blah, it would have taken a day to do something stupid like this. And it's an internal tool, nobody cares, no code, boom. So we can talk to APIs, that's pretty powerful. So that is the first demo. Second one, let's find a broken link. This one's my favorite. Okay, so actually I have a speaker note here, I wonder if I can show it. Dang. How do I go between slides quickly? Does anyone know?
Arrows, like cursors.
Oh, we've made it so far.
At the top, under
Can you
slides.
see something? There we go. Okay, let's go find that slide. I have a speaker note that says what I'm supposed to say. Hey, Becky, we changed the title of a blog article. Can you update it anywhere it's referenced on our website? That sounds easy. I'm just going to open my IDE. I'm just going to find the old name of the article, Command-Shift-F, done. Let's try to do that on no code. And I put some notes in here for myself because I figured I'd forget how to do this demo. All right, let's go back here to our editor. So the editor's pretty slick. It's got some drag and drop stuff. It might be a hair slow. Maybe. Oh, I'm on that little close. There we go. All right, so let's go over here and, all right, so let's see. How can I find everywhere a link is referenced on a website? Well, I see a magnifying glass. Search by. So, and I get this drop down of options. So I actually have to figure out what type of thing I'm searching for before I can search, which is awful because I don't know what form. I don't know if this is a button. I don't know if it's links. I don't know if it's in text. I don't know anything. But I'm just going to choose element type because that seems like my best bet. Element type, there is a link in here somewhere. Chances are it's going to be a link. And the article had the name future in the title. So let's just do it. So far, so good. Okay, so it came up with 4 results. And let's see if any of these are my blog articles. So my blog article is called The History and the Future of Homeownership. The History and the Future of Homeownership. So let's go here. Create the future you want, not that one. The history and future. Okay, here's one. So let's change it. Type. Let's update the link. Go to the third one. And you can kind of see how this goes, right? Like you're relying on the search and you're going in and changing things. Publish, all good, requirement met. Couple hours later, PM calls me super pissed. And it's like, Becky, what the hell, are you not checking your work? Because there's one more link right here. It's embedded in a paragraph.
Right.
It doesn't have the word future in it, and it goes to that freaking blog article. And this is the nightmare of my existence right here, stupid, simple shit that you just cannot get done correctly. I have to remember that I linked that blog article here. This is where no code puts me in these troughs of despair, because in any IDE, I could just search for the name of this link and I would find it and be done. So I'll pause there. Anyone disagree with me? I dare you.
Is that the hill you're willing to die on?
But sometimes I like it. It's one of those things. All right, cool. So let's look at some zaps. I think Zapier, Zapier, however it's pronounced, is probably one that a lot of you have heard of. Rails shop, by the way. I don't know how much they still do in Rails, but they started as a Rails shop. So here's Zapier. Basically, you create these things called zaps. And it's pretty cool. You connect one website with another as long as that website or that app, I should say, web app, has created a Zapier app that you can like pull in. It's super easy. So here I have a DocuSign app, and then you can also do things like webhooks or like generic. You can do a generic web request as long as you authenticate it yourself. And this is where it's interesting, because if I go and try to edit this, I have to put in a URL, I have to put in the payload type, I have to put in the data, I have to do my own headers. And at this moment, I'm like, my product manager would give me a call. A person who's not technical, who doesn't know how to code, are they even gonna know how to fill out this form?
Oh, no, so I'm just stretching, no,
Okay,
just like.
thought maybe you were-
Is that a test is that a test token too?
No, that one's not.
Oh.
It doesn't go anywhere though. Well, does it? Well, it doesn't work. I'm gonna run it and you'll see it doesn't work, and this is why I hate no code. Oh, it's letting me publish, retest, all right. I'm gonna go rotate all my keys tonight. All right, so that's a basic Zap. It's pretty cool, right? In like 10 minutes, you have a Zap going that gets my envelopes from DocuSign and posts them back to my test no-code app. So all that without writing any code. Let's see, let me go back here to all my Zaps. So I have a bunch that talk to HubSpot, which is really nice not having to write API connectors to HubSpot. And then this is the one that got me really angry today. So this one broke mysteriously, because they do that sometimes. And when I went to go fix it, this is the error I got. You are missing scopes. These scopes are required. Okay, what scopes? So it doesn't tell me what scopes are required, and it sends me to this URL, which redirects to a working with OAuth page that has nothing to do with my scopes. And I can search for scopes, and then this is a developer page, right? This isn't like a Zapier no-code type page. And so I'm putting myself in the shoes of like our salesperson who's trying to set up these business automations. And they get this error, and they're like, Becky? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, that's weird. And then you get to deal with support requests, which is my next favorite thing about no code. All right, hey, I'm getting this error, authentication, blah, blah, blah. I sent all the details. I sent screenshots. I sent reproducing steps. I did all the right things, and I got back. From my understanding, your Zap is showing you an error. Could you please collect this HAR file? All right, cool. I see that you are using Zap to modify communication preferences. I'm like, yep, still true. Could you re-authenticate? In my first thing, I said, I reinstalled the app, I re-authenticated, and I'm still getting the have you tried rebooting response.
Yeah.
And this is your support experience with no code, no matter what you do. So that's today, which is why I'm like a little salty about it. And it's like just before I came over here. But this to me is like the fundamental issue with no code. This was working great 2 days ago. Suddenly it stopped, and I don't know why. And now I can't re-authenticate. So that's my gripe. And this happens to all of these, like once every 3 months. Like my email is just littered with your Zap had an error, and, you know, your make.com had an error. And the honest truth is, like, I want to be writing code. I don't want to be like investigating what user input didn't compute that crashed the whole no code flow and then prevented HubSpot from getting the right lead data to my CEO saying our leads aren't converting. And but it got us up faster. It's weird. It's this weird conundrum of like, I didn't have to build all this shit, but it breaks all the time. And I honestly don't know how like a business person who's not doesn't have like an engineering coding mindset would actually be able to figure it out, so. All right, I think that was the last one.
So
Yes.
when you said like goes through the whole flow and breaks, is like that like an input validation problem, or like the APIs being updated and deprecated more often, or like what is the?
Yeah, it's those types of things. So if you're HubSpot, you might update your Zap, like on a release cycle. And maybe at some point you break the old Zap, and so anyone who's already using it, it all just breaks. And as far as I can tell, it's very cowboy. There's not a lot of process here. So updates get made, they get auto-installed, and there's no notification process. It doesn't say, hey, HubSpot updated your Zap. Come check it out and approve the update. It's supposed to be automatic, under the hood, invisible, like all those things. So I think that is what's happening. There's also, it's really hard to validate user input on these.
Yeah.
And so I have this no-code solution that sends me a bunch of inputs. Well, I just had someone send me an O instead of a 0. And it's like, well, that's something that, didn't consider, and the no-code solution doesn't know how to handle that. It doesn't know how to validate that. So this is me fixing that by saying, if you find something that's not a number, I didn't handle the O because I was just like, that person's stupid.
They don't deserve to be my customer.
It's like a credit check.
Exactly. But I did validate, like if it came back with this is a spreadsheet app that does a bunch of processing. If that came back with an invalid value, I'm trying to reprocess it into a 0 so that at least HubSpot doesn't flip out in the next. But all these things, I feel are like one dot method in Ruby, and they're like 5 blocks in no code. So yeah.
So it seems frustrating.
Do you recommend no code?
I think Ben, you've probably heard me say one nice thing about no code.
It's fast.
Have I?
Maybe not, maybe. I mean, for me, the biggest one is the theory that my operations team can do all these business processes without me. They're gonna try and figure it out, and we'll see how it goes. But our webpage is gorgeous, and I didn't have to get involved at all, and it was just completely managed by a designer. And every time someone wants to tweak some content, he goes and does it. And that's huge. I mean, that's a huge time saver. And they can do interesting things like animations or scrolls. They don't look at the size of the JavaScript bundle. That's a problem. but that's the advantage, is what I would say, is get that POC up and running fast and let other people on your team do some of the work.
So you said that before, you don't have to choose the language, or language is important, is what you said, which is true, right? But did you get to choose the language in for your own app for the no code? Is that something you get to do?
The bubble was chosen before I joined. I'll talk about that on the panel, don't worry.
Great.
But no, bubble was chosen before I joined, but I think it was the right solution. So we had a pretty nice credit underwriting proof of concept written all in bubble. It worked. Yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful as shit. We have Plaid integrations, we have TransUnion integrations, all in bubble, no code. The problem was, hey, can you move step 4 to step 3? I was like, no, not without 6 months of finding what broke, because debugging is so hard. There's no test suite. It's super rigid, and you saw how hard it was to search for a link. Now try searching for who relies on step 3. I don't even know how you would search for any dependencies there, and that's where it's hard. But our initial POC, 6 months. Boom, we're underwriting clients, and that's amazing. And that's where your business can actually go figure out if you're actually solving a problem people care about without a ton of money.
Would you ever move off it? Is that something you guys would ever plan to do at this point? Because the thing you said before was scary about oh yeah, if they go under,
yeah.
What do you do?
So I have moved our underwriting application to Rails now as a robust nice web application that has tests and is not brittle and is searchable, all those things, that we all love. So I've moved our underwriting off to our final solution, or at least a more formal solution than a POC. I doubt I'll ever move my landing page, because why? I mean, that's the thing, why?
But I think there could be a point where that is true, but the thing that this buys you is that you validate your business, and your business is making more money, and now you know the problem, you know where it's gonna break, and where you don't know that in the beginning, and now you can build the right solution for that point in time. And by the way, this gets repeated like countless times as you scale as a business.
Yeah.
I feel like a great business is to convert no-code apps into Rails apps.
I mean, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
worst business ever, but it would be popular.
It's a great business, I don't think I'd want to be the developer.
Exactly.
But that's really well said, Marty. So there is a saying in development, which your first abstraction is always wrong. So why not make your first abstraction fast, easy, cheap? And then you find out it's wrong, and then you build the right abstraction next. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And we learned a ton on the first underwriting application, which was super valuable. And so I think a lot of this is probably mostly relevant to startups or small teams, but at some point in all of your careers, you may have the opportunity to be in a team like that, where it is important to have speed to market or to get yourself proven out, your idea proven out.
I guess there's, for the people that aren't technical, like, does like ChatGPT, like, would pasting all the stuff for Bubble, like, actually help?
Can I show you what I just saw today? Let's see, how do I create a new?
Or does that just make people go down other rabbit holes and?
Okay, check this out. Everyone has AI now, right?
Yeah.
I just saw this. I can make an AI zap.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there was somewhere else where I create a new zap, and it said, use ChatGPT to create, yeah, here we go. What would you like to automate, y'all? So in theory.
I have a friend who's building like his primary website and infrastructure using some no-code tools and some low-code tools, which is like the other half of this equation.
Sure.
Probably low-code,
Yeah,
right. Mentioning. And he is reliant on ChatGPT, for like essentially getting it up and running. But the other day he texted me with like an issue about integrating it with Calendly, right? Where like the entire point of his website is to drive people, he's like trying to consult, right? The entire thing he wants is meetings. And so Calendly is, do the math, right? Like it's pretty much his whole business. And he spent like a day just trying to figure out some stuff, and it
probably
involves
how to get an authorization token in the right place, because otherwise.
Well, he doesn't even know, right? And the other hard part about it is then when you don't know, you don't even know what you're Googling, right?
Yeah.
Or you might feed garbage into ChatGPT, but garbage in is garbage out, like every engineer will
And
tell you.
maybe ChatGPT gives you a great solution and you get it up and running, but then in a month, you don't know what you did, and so I think that's the hard part, is like, so ChatGPT set up your no code, awesome. Then in a month when it breaks, then what? You have no idea what ChatGPT did for you. The other component of this is no one person in my company knows all of our no-code workflows that are set up. So anyone in my company at any moment could break them inadvertently by changing like something in HubSpot or deleting an attribute, and then all of our no-code will just blow up, because there's nothing that says, here's your list of no-code and how they interact.
Yep.
And I feel like in code, like traditional code, you can see that. Even if you have to dig a little, you can see all the relationships.
So when,
ask someone who has a large AWS instance, I think you see this.
Yeah.
That's no-code too though, right? Or low-code?
The thing that I'm thinking about is he gives this presentation, I'm like, we're just teaching a lot more people about how shitty software engineering can be.
yeah.
We're exposing them to all the shittiness. Like,
Yes.
Why it's not really engineering.
with a much prettier UI.
I love it.
When you have a large team that has access to these kinds of like tools, do they provide things like this user went in and mucked this up?
This is one of, I'm in with Trough right now.
Like, do you
So-
have some sort of global God view of who?
Let me show you
changed
what I
it?
have. So this is my like branch view, okay?
Oh, boy. So
All
it's
right,
like,
history. I don't know what I've changed. So this was 5 days ago. I don't remember what I had lunch, for lunch 5 days ago. That's all it says. I made a change 5 days ago. I don't know what. I don't know if it's, did I finish it?
Yeah.
Did I finish it before I had to get on a conference call? Like, I don't know.
no. That's not particularly
This is
helpful.
all I get. So Zapier is slightly better, where it will say, there it is, change history. That's not
Oh, yeah.
active Zap.
Is that-
Change history. So here's what Zapier gives me.
That's good.
Zap turned on, Zap version published. Cool, all right, nice. The other thing Zapier does for me, which is super fun, is if I say edit draft, it will say, do you want to replace the existing draft? And I'm like, wait, there was an existing draft? What was on that? What changes I made? Was I screwing around, or is that something I forgot to publish? Like, what was that?
And then you have to exit out and go and find out where they store the draft that you don't know about.
I would love to know where they store draft.
Maybe the has draft.
Here's draft. So what's different?
That's a scary thing.
So I know this is not exactly security, but that scares the crap out of me, that I have no idea.
Yeah.
But Zapier at least will tell me who made the change, which is nice.
Right.
And some of them are better. I've used Workata, which I hate with a passion, but they at least show you diffs between that.
I might need to move to that one.
And and then anytime you do customization, it's actually in Ruby, so you can like write a subset of Ruby to process things coming through.
Nice.
But I've had the same problem you had, where like they break the integration, and in the case of Zapier, like maybe HubSpot is making the integration, but all of these platforms want to be integrated as with many things as possible, and they can't get the companies to write it. So then they write one, and then nobody uses it, so they don't update it, and then the APIs change and it stops working.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, you're gonna have to roll your own.
Yeah.
And now I'm writing code.
Yep. And I get the ping pong where HubSpot's like, oh, it looks like Zapier, that's on Zapier's end, and then Zapier's like, oh, it looks like that's on HubSpot's end.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I can't handle that kind of support flow. It doesn't bring me joy.
For the debugging, is there logging at the node level or like?
Kind of. So I can show you a failed run here, and you can see kind of what we get. So Zapier's not terrible, but it's really reliant on whoever wrote that plugin. What are they passing forward to display? So in this case, I got these validation messages from HubSpot, which are pretty good. They tell me what went wrong. I've gotten others that are like 500 unknown error, and I'm like, yeah, I've written that error message before, but I don't know where that came from or why or how to fix it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Might be right on time, Rylan.
Nailed it.
On time.
Sleepy sleeps.
So what about those situations you talked about? A CEO does a prototype and it works,
Yeah.
and what is that process like turning it into a real app where I don't really want to keep existing data, and like what is that process like?
Then it's like, that's when they say, hey, we need a CTO. What should we do? What do you do? And like, I've migrated data. Usually migrating authentication is harder. You have to get people to re-sign up. If you're small enough and early enough, you can keep all your old users on the old platform and only sign up new users on the new ones, and maybe do a migration over time. So it's really dependent on how many users they have and how hard it is to migrate. But you can pull data out fairly easily. You can either write an API that sucks all the data out, or like Bubble has an export CSV functionality to export all your data out, and then you can pipe it into your other app. So there's probably a lot of ways to handle it, but it's like anything, the longer you wait, the harder it is to do the migration. And so for us, we didn't bother moving any old users to our new system. It just didn't make sense.
So you are maintaining two systems, or you just said bye-bye?
I am.
Or make them sign up again, like you said?
because of the, I'll give you our specific situation. All of their bill payments are essentially offline. So we didn't have to maintain the old system for them because they were just doing like Zelle, like or Venmo type of things. It was POC, man.
Proof of concepts.
Venmo mortgage payments?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Really?
That flew with the regulators?
We're not a mortgage company, so. You can pay your rent on Venmo. You can pay our fake mortgage on Venmo too.
Who makes the money off of that? What are the rates like?
On Venmo?
Are there per transaction, are there like per transaction fees and stuff like that when you're not doing like person to person?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll call my operations person.
Yeah, all that stuff just seems like a total scam where it's like, you can send money to anyone you want for free, isn't this great? And then it's like, you get a critical mass and then it's lock-in, it's 20% fees.
Yeah, for us, it's like, it's VC backed, so everything is like, one-time costs are fine, you just ignore them because this is a cost of getting business, cost of like launching essentially, and they don't even count it, so.
It's free real estate.
I think a lot of those, like overnight lend money, they get the bank rates, and so they'll keep your money for like $1 million in transit for a night, lend it out at the bank rate, and then that's the profit.
Yeah, like you have to empty your balance on Venmo, or you're just letting them use your money.
Oh, okay, so if you hold a balance on Venmo, then they're charging interest rates to other people on the loan?
Yeah, so it is, I mean, like Zelle, like if banks are allowing free transfers, like I don't know that they can, well, I guess that's person to person, I don't know.
Starbucks does the same thing with their,
Yeah, they're
they're like the worst bank in the world or something.
Yeah. Yeah, United Airlines is a big bank too with all their money.
Oh my gosh.
It's like billions.
The ones you can't use, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not insured.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate all the